Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Today I want to share with you 4 ideas for handmade Valentine's Day cards. Okay, let's start with the first card. For the supplies you will need watercolor paper, watercolor paints in the colors of your choosing. I chose this lovely red, a paintbrush, 2 jars of water, one for washing the paintbrush and other for the clean water, a black thin marker or pen, a palette or plate to mix your paints, and some paper towels. First, let's paint 2 hearts, making one bigger than the other. We will round their sides so they look like they are inflated with air. You can space the balloons however you want on the page, and you can even make more than 2 if you like. Next, paint a little trapezoid shape on the bottom of each balloon. If you need to even out the color of the balloons, you can do so. Once the painting is dry, use your black pen to draw a string attached to each of the balloon. If you make some loops, the finished piece will look more interesting. Now your card is finished. If you want, you can write something on the top of the cards, or maybe even on the balloons. Now for the second card. You will need watercolor paper, some watercolor paints in the colors of your choosing. For this card, I chose reds and purple. A paintbrush, 2 jars of water, one for washing the paintbrush and the other for the clean water, a black thin marker or pen, a palette or plate to mix your paints, and some paper towels. First, paint a big heart in the middle of the page using the color of your choosing. Next, paint smaller hearts around the big one using different colors. You can make each heart a different size to add more interest. Here's a little tip. To make the colors lighter, try adding more water to the paint. Once the painting is dry, use a black pen to draw hearts on all the watercolor hearts. Don't worry about following the shapes. Make them really loose and maybe even inaccurate. This will add a nice touch to the final result. For the heart in the middle, as some of the others, you can draw more hearts to make them stand out even more. Now your card is ready. If you want, you can write something in the biggest heart or leave it just as it is. Let's create the third card. For the supplies you will need watercolor paper, some watercolor paints in the colors of your choosing. I chose reds and purple. A paintbrush, I recommend a smaller one. 2 jars of water, one for washing the paintbrush and the other for clean water, a pencil, an eraser, can be a kneaded one or a regular one, a palette or plate to mix your paints, paper towels, and a heart-shaped cookie cutter. As you may have guessed, this is the fun trick to make a perfect heart. Now, using a pencil, lightly draw the shape of a heart using the cookie cutter as a guide. If the lines are too visible, use the eraser to lightly erase them, but leave them visible enough for you to see. Now for the fun part. Using the colors you selected, paint lots of hearts using the line you drew as a guide. Make the hearts bigger and smaller, lighter and darker. You can space the hearts however you want and even make some of them overlapping each other. Your Valentine's Day card is ready! If you want, you can write something in the middle of the heart to make it even more special. Here I want to show you a previous version of this design. As you can see, you can play around with colors and get different results. Now for the last card. This one is my favorite. You will need watercolor paper, a scrap piece of paper, some watercolor paints in the colors of your choosing. I chose red for roses and green for leaves. A small paintbrush, 2 jars of water, one for washing the paintbrush and the other for clean water, a pencil, an eraser, can be a kneaded one or a regular one, a palette or plate to mix your paints, paper towels, and again a heart-shaped cookie cutter. Now for the roses. First, let me show you a fun and easy way to paint roses on this scrap piece of paper. I will zoom you in so you can better see what I'm doing. Okay, we'll be creating these C shapes. Start in the middle with 2 small C shapes. Then paint a bunch of them going around in a circle like that. We are practicing for now, so don't worry if you mess up like I just did. Try to use the tip of your paintbrush to get more precise lines. Practice the roses on a scrap piece of paper as much as you want until you feel confident and ready. And don't worry about the shapes, they don't have to be perfect. Now let's start creating our card. Like with the previous card, use a pencil and the cookie cutter to lightly draw the shape of a heart. If the lines are too visible, use the eraser to lightly erase them, but leave them visible enough for you to see. Using the colors you selected, paint lots of roses following the line you drew as a guide. Use the tip of the paintbrush to get more precise lines. Make the roses bigger and smaller, and remember, they don't have to be perfect or similar. I really like creating this card. Painting the small roses is so relaxing. Once you completed the heart of roses, use the green paint to add some leaves. I paint simple strokes here and there while going around the heart. You can go with your gut here and add leaves wherever you like. Your Valentine's Day card is ready. If you want, you can write something in the middle of the heart or leave it just as it is. Here I want to show you a previous version of this design. If you want, you can play around with the colors and get a different result. Here are all the finished cards. I hope this inspired you to create your own handmade Valentine's Day cards.